Juventus face Inter at the weekend in a huge top of the table showdown, and Gab, they picked up another midfielder.
This is a bit of a weird one because...
It's a good one, I think.
All right, so Carlos Alcaraz, remember when he arrived last year for Southampton? They were getting relegated.
Yeah.
He actually was one of the few bright spots.
Yeah.
But so then they go down. He hardly plays for he doesn't start very often for Southampton, especially of late.
Russell Martin doesn't fancy him.
But the team's really good.
Yeah.
They're, I think, 1 point off the automatic playoffs. So in the end, it's a $3 million loan fee and then up to $49 million to make the deal permanent. It's a bit odd. The whole signing was a bit. Yeah. It's just a ton of money.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be one of those things where if he does well, Juve's like, yeah, look, Carlos doesn't want to come back, and we're not going to give you $49 million. Yeah. So suck it up and take whatever you can.
Yeah.
It's got that written all over it.
Definitely.
We told you about this on Monday, but Gio Reyna de Forest is now all done. Jules, where do you see him in the starting lineup?
That's a good question, Gabby. What I would love to see is him and Gibbs White, the two number 10s behind the striker. I think this is his best position. As a 10 more than White.
And Nuno's all about exciting attacking football. So.
No, he's not. At least it's a little bit more attacking than under Steve Cooper. But Nuno doesn't play with two 10s. So we'll have to see. Am I happy with him choosing Forest? I'm not so sure. Roma picked up Empoli's wunderkind, Tommaso Baldanzi, for 15 million euros while loaning Andrea Bellotti out to Fiorentina. Gab, is it wise to invest in the future when you don't know who your coach is going to be for next season?
I think it makes sense. If it's this guy, because he's very, very hyped. Yeah. I think 50 million is a really good price. He's got a big upside. He's one of those guys who I think will either flare out or become very, very good. That's kind of
yeah. But you can always get your money back at some point.
But also moving Bellotti. Bellotti was on a huge salary because he came as a free agent, and I think you're funding Baldanzi at least for 6 months by shifting Bellotti. So I think in that sense it makes sense. The fact they're willing to invest also says to me. They really believe they're going to finish in the Champions League spaces. Jules, Big Vitinha, who cost Marseille $32 million a year ago. Maybe that's where the Armando Broja valuation comes from.
Maybe.
Is on his way to Genoa on loan. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
Wait, wouldn't Wolves or Forest or...
I don't know if you've been watching him, and he missed a massive chance at the weekend as well.
I'm joking.
Monaco. No, but... I think when you saw him at Braga before, and especially the hat-trick that he scored in the Europa League last season, you thought, okay, wow, there's a player there. And then maybe there is. He's still quite young. Marseille just didn't have the patience to wait longer. It's been a year. He arrived last January, so a year ago. And they need some money, so there's an option to buy. And they just wanted him out, which leaves you with kind of an Aubameyang pretty much on his own up front, some youngsters, and then you can always play Iliman Ndiaye or somebody like that. I don't know.
Whereas Big Vitinha will be competing with Italy international Retegui for a spot in the front line.
Yeah, exactly.
Retegui's fit again.
I'm interested to see how he does in Genoa. Granada's mighty mouse, Brian Zaragoza, has joined Bayern. And we thought the deal would happen. I mean, it was not. We thought it was reported that the deal would happen in the summer.
It was decided it would happen in the summer.
And that he would just stay on loan.
Yeah, and then Thomas Tuchel watched Kingsley Coman play and
got injured. It's only for the injury.
No, I would argue it's for the performances
and
the
injury.
Whatever.
So
obviously Brian Zaragoza, very, very different, small, quick, darting. Maybe he can fall over, win free kicks. I don't know what he's thinking. It's interesting because we've seen him be absolutely devastating. We've seen him have quieter games. I hope that this doesn't turn into what we've seen of late from Bayern, which is no patterns of play and kind of like the other team parks the bus and they just give the ball to Sané and Coleman, or in this case Zaragoza, and says, okay, guy, go do something. Because they need more than that. But look, he's an exciting player.
I just hope he's not like a Shaqiri type. You know, when they signed because there's a bit of hype and the guy's a bit quick, and in the end, Shaqiri was not good enough really for that level, and I hope that Brian is.
Didn't Shaqiri win a league title at Liverpool?
Yeah, but exactly.
So shut it.
Exactly. It was not good enough for Liverpool.
More league titles than Harry Kane's won.
Yeah, okay, but it's still not good enough.
Bayer Leverkusen aren't taking the title for granted after Borja Iglesias. They're pushing hard for Desiree Doué for Rennes. But this kid's 18. He's a child.
He's so good, Gab. He's just so good. I think they know Wirtz is going to go at some point. And right now, if you were trying to find a replacement for Wirtz, not as the finished product like Wirtz is right now, but I think Desiree Doué is just amazing. He really is. an amazing talent. And I think, to be fair, not just Bayer Leverkusen, but Bundesliga in general very often looks at Ligue 1 and those young players to bring them over, whether it's Upamecano, Ligue 1 or Ligue 2. And Doué, they've offered 20 million. I don't think this is enough anyway. He's worth already more than that.
Well, I was going to ask about that, right? If 20 million is a credible bid, even though you might have to spend more, right? In what world and this guy's that good, wouldn't you expect Premier League teams to rock up with like 30 million? If Aaron Wan-Bissaka is worth 50 million, then and Armando Broja, then
100%. I'm a bit surprised, or maybe because
could he be the next Sofiane Buffal who never quite makes it?
No, he's better than Buffal, I think.
And
it's a different position, but I just think maybe nobody really thought he could live in Jan, which I don't think he can anyway.
Right.
So you just don't make the move. You don't try to because you know it's not going to happen. But sooner rather than later, he will be either in the Premier League or in one of the other big leagues because he's just that good. Meanwhile, Gab, some are complaining about the lack of transfer moves in the Premier League so far this month. But elsewhere, records are being broken.
That's right. And it's our friend. It's John Texter.
How
about that?
John.
Breaking records around the world.
We were mean to you.
Leon may be having a tough time, but Botafogo, they just spent 20 million, which is a record for the Brazilian league in terms of incoming transfers, to bring Luis Enrique back to Brazil Serie A after just one season at Betis. Now, I just find this slightly curious in the sense that 20 million for Botafogo is a ton of money. I think it's a ton of money for John Texter as well, frankly. He was at Betis for a year, but he didn't do well at Betis. He wasn't great. He was kind of in and out of the side. He wasn't an automatic starter. You know, is this the value of a top 8 player? I know he's young, but wouldn't you have thought that? Couldn't they do the stinky thing where they loan him and they say, "Oh yeah, we'll pay you 30 million to make it permanent," and then Luis Enrique says, no, I have Saudade. I'm not going back. I'm going to stay here in Rio. I
don't know. It's a strange.
It seems like a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a really strange one
for Luis Enrique. Who's not is what he is.
No, who's talented, I think, and still very young. And
he's like 23. He's not that young.
No, true. But I mean, there's still time for him to develop into someone better than what he is. But I just thought that's a lot of money. Really a lot of money.